So I made this video for young surgeons. So surgeons that are doing orthopedic residency or basically any surgical residency, or maybe you're in your first couple of years of practice. If you have seen some of my other stuff, I have this YouTube channel where I create content for patients specifically about knee replacement and other orthopedic issues. But what I wanted to share with you is information that I've shared with lots of younger surgeons, and that's always in a one-to-one. And I like to use this platform because it allows me to reach lots of other folks like you. So, jumping right into it, if you're a young surgeon, what I stress most importantly right now, as soon as you can, is get life insurance, get disability insurance. You want to protect yourself and you want to protect your family. You never know when you're going to get sick or become disabled. And what's important is the younger you get it, the cheaper it is because you're younger and healthier. And if you get older and get a diagnosis, sometimes it is more expensive or you might not be insurable. And if you're a resident and you're thinking, well, I'll wait till, I'm making more money as an attending, get a policy now because those policies are specific for doctors in training and it allows you to increase your premiums to compensate for the life insurance policy that will be based on your income as it grows. And what's also important, because you might be thinking, well, I'm getting a new job and they offer it. I don't care. Get your own policy because if you work somewhere and they pay for it, and then you get let's say you become disabled and you get that payment, you're going to pay taxes on it because it's paid for by your employer. And now, if you don't like your job and you leave and now you're older and have a medical diagnosis, again, it becomes more expensive or sometimes impossible to get insured. If you get it now while you're younger and then you change jobs, that policy goes with you wherever you're at. So get your own life insurance policy, get your own disability policy as soon as possible. I've had mine with Northwestern Mutual. They're an excellent company. I have a great person that has helped me over the years. His daughter's a doctor, so he understands our world. And if you want, DM me and I'll send you his information. The next thing I want to stress with you is save for retirement. Put money into your 401k. If you have children, put money into their 529. And you might be saying, well, I can't, all of a sudden I'm making money, but I have to pay off my medical school loans and I have to save for a house. I'm not saying max it out. If you can, and as soon as you can max out your 401k, do so because compounding interest is going to lead to a lot more money down the road for when you retire. But even if you can't put in a lot, like put in $100 a paycheck, just put something in day one and then every year reassess your budget and decide, now can I put more in next year, more in next year, more in next year. And as soon as you can try to max that out. But it makes it a whole lot easier if you have a nice nest egg for your kids when they go to college and you just transfer the money as opposed to worrying about I have to work more to pay for my mortgage and my kids' college. The next thing, and this relates to the office. Every patient leaves with something. What does that mean? Well, you could spend 15 minutes in the office talking to a patient and giving them a whole lot of information. And they're going to go home and they're going to see their spouse or significant other and we'll say, hey, what did the doctor say? Or what did the doctor do for you? And they'll say, oh, nothing. You just talk to them. But if they leave with something, and this is why I have a huge binder in all of my exam rooms with information packets that I've made over the years about Baker cysts and cortisone injections and osteoporosis and knee exercises, hip exercises, back exercises, what to take as far as over-the-counter medications, weight loss tips. So every time I'm seeing a patient, I'm giving them something and they leave with something. It's exercises, it's information, it's foot care if they're diabetic. You might give the patient a prescription, maybe for a medication or a physical therapy. You might give them an injection. They go home, oh, I got a shot. And you might give them a date for surgery, but try to make sure that every patient leaves with something tangible aside from your information of what you told them. The other thing, which is pertinent to your office and OR schedule, is get your kids' schedule for school at the beginning of every year and give it to your scheduler or secretary. And make sure that they block out all of those days that your kids are off of school, or your kids have late start, or your kids get out early, because I promise you that doing another knee replacement or seeing another 10 patients in the office does not matter to your kids. And at the end of the day, it's not going to make the difference between paying your bills and not paying your bills. But your kids are going to remember that mom or dad was there. So if you block that time out in the beginning of the year, you don't make the mistake of, getting ready to go to work and you're wondering why the kids are still in their pajamas. They're like, oh, Dad, we're off of school today. You're like, oh, I wish I would have known. I would have blocked that day off. So do that at the beginning of every school year. And along those lines, work-life balance. Make sure you spend time to be away from the office. It's really scary. I know in the first couple of years, you're like afraid to leave your practice. Who's going to take care of your patients? And I can promise you that your patients will be okay if you take a week off. But take that week off to spend time with your family, reboot, refresh. You might do it a few times a year, usually every quarter. It's kind of nice to get away, but make sure that you get away so you're not working every single day, every single week over and over and over again and get burned out because it's easy to get tired. With that, learn how to say no. In the beginning, you want patients, you want surgeries, you want cases, and it's easy to say yes, 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 yes. ER calls, urgent care calls, your partner calls. Sure, sure, sure. I'll add it on, I'll add it on. But at some point, life gets in the way. You have obligations with your family, you're tired, you have something going on, and you want to say no. And as the young person, you're sometimes afraid to say no, that people will think you're lazy or that you're not working hard enough. Learn to say no. Yes, I would like to, but right now I can't. My plate is full. I have previous arrangements or engagements. I have things that I have to do. I can't this time, but please ask me again. So it opens up that door of saying, not no ever. It's just, I can't this time, but I would like to in the future. So that's really, really important. The other thing which is important is if you're seeing a patient in the office and you don't know what's going on, don't be afraid to tell them that you don't know. We're kind of taught that you always have to have the answers, and we don't always have the answers. So if I meet a patient that has something really weird and complex, I'll let them know, hey, like, this is unique. This isn't normal. Let me do some research. Let me talk to my partners. Let me reach out to some friends or colleagues, and then let me call you or make another appointment, and we can kind of go over what the next plan is. So that's important. And I find that patients have a lot more faith and confidence when you do that, as opposed to just trying to wing it. And along those lines, if you know someone that is an expert in something that's rare and unique and you don't have much experience, feel free to tell a patient, hey, look, this is outside my wheelhouse, but I know someone who's really good with this thing. So I can actually take you and I can refer you to this person. And if you enjoy that, sometimes talking to that other surgeon and say, hey, like, I know you're an expert and I don't know much and I'm young and I'd like to learn. Could I scrub in? Could we do this together? And then you get to continue to care for your patient, but you know that they're getting surgical treatment from someone who is an expert. The last thing I'll leave you with is this right here: social media, web, having a website. Patients nowadays, they don't go to a phone book anymore. Everybody goes to Google or some search engine and they'll search you up. So if you have a website that tells patients a little bit about you, make a video that says, hi, this is who I am, and this is my philosophy, and this is what I like to do, and this is where I've trained, and this is what I'm looking forward to doing to help you. Patients know who you are before they even walk in the door. I have a bunch of videos on my page. I have links to my book and my YouTube channel, but I also have a lot of the patient handouts that I give in the office. So if a patient loses it and calls my staff and says, hey, Dr. Rosen gave me this sheet on knee exercises and I can't find it. Go to the website, go to this tab. Here you can pull it down. You can download it at home. So it gives patients a resource. And then use social media. It depends on your demographic. So like in the hip and knee world, most of our patients are older. And if you do the research, most of those patients are using YouTube like this and Facebook. So I have most of my stuff on YouTube and Facebook. If you're in sports or peds and you have a younger generation, most of those are on Twitter or Instagram. So you might pick and choose which platform you put information out on. But in doing so, patients, again, find you and they start to learn from you and they get to know you before they even have a chance to meet you in the office. But you only have the ability to see so many patients in the office each day. And if you have knowledge that you want to share, using some type of internet platform allows you to share that information to many, many more people, and you get that information out there. And I would tell you, for me, it's actually really gratifying. I do it when I have time, when I'm in the mood. I don't have a crazy studio. I don't do crazy editing, but I just try to put out content that I believe is reliable. It's based on science. Try to make it in ways that people understand, which is always really important, is don't talk in big words. learn to explain the same medical diagnosis 10 different ways, because you might have someone who is a doctor and you might have someone who's an engineer, and you might have someone whose English is their second language, and maybe someone that only graduated high school. And you have to be able to explain these things to them in a way that they understand. Otherwise, they walk out more confused. So I really hope that you, as the younger doctor, have found this information helpful. And if you have maybe other tips that maybe a mentor told you that you have found really, really helpful, leave them in the comments so other young doctors can learn from you. And if you have any questions, reach out to me. Thanks for watching. I'm Adam Rosen. Stay safe.